Hello and welcome to Living Right with Chris. My name is Chris Isfekin, and I want to welcome you to another episode in our weekly series um, for the month of March. So this week, in continuation of what we've been discussing, um, our topic for this week says cancel culture, public shaming, and mercy. The focus is on moral judgment, justice, and wisdom in the digital age. The digital space has become a modern courtroom, one without due process, context, or mercy. A single post, screenshot, or out of context clip can lead to instant outrage, public shaming, and permanent reputational damage. This phenomenon, often called cancel culture, reflects a deep struggle in our world, how we balance justice with mercy. So this week challenges us to examine not only what we condemn, but how we do it. I'll lay the emphasis of this discourse on three sub-themes. The first one is the rise of digital judgment. Social media rewards outrage. Public shaming spreads quickly before it offers a sense of moral superiority and collective validation. But quick judgment rarely produces true judgment. Any judgment that is hasty without following due process, most often than not, turns out to be wrong judgment. So, the rise of digital judgment over the traditional judgment of law of thoughts had become a problem in our society today. And the lesson we must pick from this is that speed in judgment often sacrifice fairness. Right? So the second sub-theme I want to talk about says justice without mercy becomes cruelty. When justice remove every iota of mercy, it becomes cruelty. Calling out wrongdoings is something necessary, but when correction lacks compassion, it becomes destructive. You know, Public humiliation often punishes beyond proportion and leaves no room for repentance or growth. Rather, the person feels condemned. So there is actually no need, the person actually won't see any need for repentance or to turn a new leaf. And we have seen that people have been shamed and bullied online to the point where they now begin to have suicidal thoughts, right? So the justice of the online space comes with a lot of cruelty because it does not come from the place of fairness, compassion, empathy, and mercy. So the lesson we must learn from this is that righteousness without mercy hardens the heart. No one learns to turn a new leaf when all that the person sees or hears is the wrong in his face without a touch of mercy. Okay, so the third top thing I want to speak to is context, complexity, and human fallibility. Most online condemnations ignore context, they ignore growth or change. So people are reduced to their worst moments and frozen there forever. But sound judgment remembers that people are more than their mistakes. People grow, and the infallibility um, persona, it's a false persona because we are all wonderfully flawed. So that show of perfection is actually a false narrative, right? Because we all make mistakes, and the internet does not give room for correction of mistakes. Rather, it condemns. What we must learn from this is that wisdom distinguishes accountability from annihilation. All right. So the fourth something I want to speak to is the mob mentality. The internet is a place where people have that mob mentality. Oh, this person has said something. Let's just eat him now, now and now. All right. You see, cancel culture thrives on collective outrage. Individuals stop thinking and start following the crowd. When you begin to see, and this affects some people so much, when they see that there's a particular opinion or a thought shared on social media, that thought is generating a lot of traffic. People are usually skewed towards believing that thought that was shared, even when it goes against their previous belief, without critically analyzing if that belief is superior to theirs. They give up their own belief and take up whatever that is shared because of the number of followers or the traffic that it generates. Don't you think that it is not always true that the majority, is always right? That statement doesn't hold true all the time because sometimes the crowd can actually be going the wrong way. So it takes someone who can critically look at, analyze what is on the table to make sound judgment. So moral courage is tested when truth requires restraint rather than reaction. So if the truth requires that you stay away and not just react, what shows that you are morally built up is that you actually restrain yourself. So the lesson here is that being right is not the same as joining the loudest voice, right? So you can just be the lone voice shouting the right thing, and the crowd they're running the wrong way. So if you know that you're convinced that what you're saying is the right thing, stick to it and begin to say it. Sow the seed in the heart of as many that care to listen. The fifth um, something I want to speak to says mercy as a moral strength. Mercy is strength. Mercy is not weakness. Mercy is often mistaken as weakness, but it requires discernment, humility, and restraint. Leaders who model mercy create an environment where correction leads to restoration rather than destruction. So we must, in show of our judgment, we must put an underlay of mercy. So the lesson we must learn here is that mercy does not excuse wrong; it redeems people. All right. So I want us to do this challenge this week. For each week in this month of March, you'd agree with me that I've been giving you challenges to do for the week. I hope that you are doing them. This month, I want you to resist joining online outreach without full context. So when they are picking on someone online, refuse to join without knowing the full context for which the person had spoken. All right? Then choose private correction over public condemnation when possible. So if I know you, I'd rather private chat to you to say, oh, this thing you have said, have you checked it? Oh, look at this evidence. You think, having seen all of this, you are still right. These are ways we can engage people and have, healthy conversations with them. Also, I want you to ask yourself, what outcome do I desire? Punishment or restoration? Punishment for wrongdoing or restoring people back, when they fall. Right. So I want you to reflect on this. If your worst moment were made public, how would you want to be treated? Skinned alive or extend grace to you? How would you want to be treated? In a world where people are eager to counsel, wisdom chooses compassion, sound judgment seeks truth, justice seeks fairness, but mercy preserves humanity. Living right in this digital age means remembering that behind every post is a person, a real person, and every person deserves dignity. I want us to drive this home. I want it to sink in us that behind every post is a real person. It's a person, a human being, and every human being deserves dignity. I want to thank you for, being here with me. It's always a pleasure having you with me. I want you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and invite your family and friends. Let them come and learn as we are learning here. I want to thank you again for your time, and till next week, it is bye from me.